take a look at this. It's Hollywood's vision of what could happen if an asteroid hit Earth. But could the latest sci-fi blockbuster become a fact? An asteroid 1 mile wide is speeding through space, possibly on a collision course with Earth. Asteroid 1997 XF11 will reach us in just over 30 years' time. Sorry, coming even closer. It will come close, but what we don't know is how close. In a moment, we'll be finding out more from Professor Carl Murray. But first, Ray Stewart looks to the stars.
Coming at you this summer, 2 Hollywood blockbusters with the same theme. Big hunks of space rock hurtling towards Earth to wipe us all out.
Half the world will be incinerated by the heat blast. The rest will freeze to death from nuclear winter. Basically the worst parts of the Bible.
Religious cults have long warned the end of the world is nigh. Now scientists are saying they could be right, with a mile-wide asteroid heading our way. The asteroid is called 1997 XF11, and it's certain to pass within 500,000 miles of the Earth. But it may come much closer, and there's a chance it could collide with our planet. If it does, it'll explode with 100,000 times the force of the hydrogen bomb that wiped out Hiroshima. It would blot out the sun with dust, creating a nuclear winter and trigger earthquakes far worse than the recent rumbles in Los Angeles and Japan. But it's not all doom and gloom for the human race. Experts say a collision may not spell the end of mankind, although it would wipe out civilization as we know it. So if science fiction becomes science fact, get ready for the return of the Dark Ages.
Ray Stewart, never one for hyperbole. With me now is Professor Carl Murray from London University's Queen Mary and Westfield College. Here we are laughing away, but we could be all over by 6:30 p.m. GMT on Thursday, October the 26th, 2028. That could be our last time on Earth.
It's not going to happen. It's definitely not going to happen. The latest research says the asteroid is going to miss us by about 600,000 miles, which is about twice the distance of the moon. So that's may seem close, but that's not very close at all.
Yeah, in fact, we can hear from NASA scientist Dr. Carl Pitcher, who says we shouldn't be worried.
It looks like it's going to miss the Earth by 600,000 miles. Now, an asteroid this size, a mile in diameter, only hits the Earth once every few 100,000 years. So it's not surprising that this one is going to miss the Earth. Most of them do.
Most of them do. Although they were at one stage saying this could pass at 30,000 miles, and if you consider that the moon is 250,000 miles, that's actually very close.
That would be extremely close. It would actually be visible in the sky in the evening, especially over Europe. But that was just one extreme, and what has happened since is they've found images of the asteroid that were not really known before, lengthening the time span over which you can calculate the orbit. You get a much better orbit. And that's why the latest figure says it's going to miss by a long way.
The point is that they keep on saying that that there are so many things out there which could hit us, and this is part of an asteroid which actually hit in the Texas desert. Was that right? This
is Arizona, and about 50,000 years ago. That's a meteorite which is part of the asteroid.
And very heavy. And this was from the core of it.
That was a part of a core of an asteroid at one stage, and just chipped off and came to the Earth.
This asteroid is a mile wide, and it's made up of what then?
It's most likely rocky substances, but there are lots of different types of asteroids. Some are rocky, some are stony, some are metal. We know some things about asteroids, but we've only actually ever visited 3 out of the tens of thousands we know about.
And we know that there are hundreds all over the place, and there are some suggestions. I was reading some of the papers today which say that scientists claim it's only a matter of time before we actually do get hit by an asteroid.
That's absolutely correct. Statistically, we will be hit eventually by an asteroid. We have been hit in the past, and the death of the dinosaurs 65 million years ago is probably associated with an asteroid impact. We've even identified the crater on the Earth, or the location where the asteroid hit us. So it will happen. But there is absolutely no evidence of objects out there now that we can definitely say this object is going to hit the Earth. So there really isn't any cause for people to worry.
Professor, could I ask you, would they actually tell us, though, if it was going to hit us and obliterate us? Presumably they wouldn't, because then there'd be such panic. Systems would crash, people would just stop what they're doing, and that'd be it. So my conspiracy theory is that they actually wouldn't tell us.
Well, there is
the first thing you'll know about it is the sky will go dark, and then it's good night. Vienna, Berlin, Rome, London.
I don't think that's going to happen. There is actually an official procedure, and the International Astronomical Union, which is the source of the information yesterday about the asteroid, has a whole procedure laid down for people reporting discoveries of asteroids, then reporting possibilities of collisions with the Earth. And these things are monitored very closely.
And how to deal with it, presumably.
Yes, there is a sort of growing international awareness of the problem and the realization that it doesn't just affect one country. This is something we should all be concerned about, in the sense that this is the largest natural catastrophe that could affect.
Is it the case that, that Britain and America are working on deflector weapons, Star War weapons, to blast this thing out, almost like Space Invaders, if it comes too close?
Well, certainly after the sort of Star Wars program in the United States, the scientists working on that took an interest in the sort of asteroid threat. The idea, yes, you could deflect an asteroid, but you've got to be very careful when you do this, because you get it wrong and you could cause even more disaster. You blow up the asteroid, instead of one asteroid, you've got maybe hundreds coming towards you. So you have to be very careful about doing this, but people are studying this at the moment.
And I also heard that they could, if they do find that there is all that water on the moon, that if there was a base on the moon, that they could actually fire a rocket at it and just veer it off course.
Yes, all that's needed is to know exactly when to do this, exactly how much energy to apply.
Well, we haven't got any practice, have we?
We haven't got any practice, but we've probably got a long time before anything actually hits us. We don't know of anything out there at the moment that is the doomsday asteroid.
I heard someone say if the dinosaurs had telescopes and could see it coming, they'd have done about it before they were wiped out.
Yes, I think we're slightly more intelligent than the asteroid, than the dinosaurs, and I think we'll be able to deal with it in time.
I heard the dinosaurs were wiped out by smoking. Thank you.
Passive smoking, was that?
Passive smoking, definitely. Professor Carl Murray,
so who was doing the smoking then?
all those volcanoes.
Oh, right, of course.
Professor Carl Murray, thank you very much for coming in this morning. And that's about all from the News Hour for today. Simon's here with the weather after the break.
But still to come on GMTV. He stood over the stove frying bacon and eggs and tomatoes for 7 of a crew. We sat in his dining room, he gave us toast and more coffee. What a nice man.
This programme only lasts 2 hours, do you realise?
And then he put a little note on his door, on his letterbox, for the postman saying, you know, Andrew or Adrian, I think it was Adrian, coffee inside when you come.
Isn't that lovely? Well, I hope you're enjoying your breakfast this morning. It might not be cooked by Patrick Moore, and this is what we're cooking up for you in the rest of the programme. Will we all be here in 30 years' time? We were just talking about it, and scientists say we're under threat from a giant asteroid that's heading our way. What's being done to stop it? We'll be finding out, hopefully, in 10 minutes' time.
And we need your help to find...
Apparently an asteroid is heading for the Earth, and it could hit in about 30 years' time. If you can't quite calculate that, I'll tell you when that is. It's October the 26th, 2028, 5:30 in the evening, due to hit Earth. But don't panic, because scientists are confident that by then they'll have found a way to destroy or deflect the mile-wide chunk of rock. It's a mile wide, can you imagine that? In a moment, I'll be talking to the American boffin who discovered the meteor. There he is there, waiting to talk to us, and getting the views of our top astronomer sitting right next to me here, Patrick Moore. Morning, Patrick.
Good morning.
First, though, all of you, just take a look at this.
Coming at you this summer, 2 Hollywood blockbusters with the same theme. Big hunks of space rock hurtling towards Earth to wipe us all out.
Half the world will be incinerated by the heat blast, and the rest will freeze to death from nuclear winter. Basically the worst parts of the Bible.
Religious cults have long warned the end of the world is nigh. Now scientists are saying they could be right, with a mile-wide asteroid heading our way. The asteroid is called 1997 XF11, and it's certain to pass within 500,000 miles of the Earth. But it may come much closer, and there's a chance it could collide with our planet. If it does, it'll explode with 100,000 times the force of the hydrogen bomb that wiped out Hiroshima. It would blot out the sun with dust, creating a nuclear winter and trigger earthquakes far worse than the recent rumbles in Los Angeles and Japan. But it's not all doom and gloom for the human race. Experts say a collision may not spell the end of mankind, although it would wipe out civilization as we know it. So if science fiction becomes science fact, get ready for the return of the Dark Ages.
I think Ray Stewart's got a new career in movie trailers coming up there. So it's not all doom and gloom, but it could wipe out civilization. Pretty scary stuff. And we're live now to Arizona. And that's the man responsible for all of this, Dr. Jim Scotty. We're going to beam Scotty up right now. Morning to you, Dr. Scotty.
Good morning.
Well, you've set us all into a spin there. You discovered this asteroid, didn't you? Is it going to collide with Earth?
I don't think so. It's about a mile across, as you mentioned before, and we discovered it back in December, early December. But it's taken about 3 months to learn enough about its orbit to be able to say that it will make a close approach 30 years from now.
Okay, and how sure are we how far it's going to be from Earth?
That's still being worked on. I think we'll have to observe this object for some time yet before we can nail down exactly how close it'll approach. But the odds are that it will not hit the Earth, even though it might make a close approach.
Yeah, because NASA have said in the last few hours, actually, Dr. Scotty, they've said it'll miss the Earth by 600,000 miles. But that far away, will we be able to see it, and will it inflict any damage?
Well, we've seen several objects come within about that distance of the Earth. It would be not quite the naked eye object that I've heard talked about earlier today or yesterday, but it should be able to be seen then in relatively small telescopes at the time.
And I mean, obviously, this is still being debated. One minute we think it is going to hit Earth. You've just said it isn't. NASA says it isn't. But if it did, what sort of damage could it do? And we've heard about earthquakes in Ray Stewart's report and a nuclear winter. How likely are any of those?
Yeah, if an object that size, about a mile in diameter, were to hit the Earth, it would cause serious consequences to the planet. Most people who would be killed by the impact would not be hit by the debris, the rocks and debris from the impact, but instead would die of starvation when the environment is affected by a large cloud of debris that would block sunlight for a couple of years.
Now, whether this does collide or not, Dr. Scotty, we have pinned it down, haven't we, to 5:30 p.m. on October the 26th, 2028. How can you be that accurate?
Well, actually, that was the best time, but it's still about plus or minus half a day, so it could be anywhere within about a day of that time.
Okay, well, Dr. Scotty, we've got someone in the studio here this morning who I know you know. It's Patrick Moore.
Yes.
Hello, Jim.
He's just said hello to you. I'll leave you there for a moment, Dr. Scotty, because we are turning to Patrick now. Morning to you, Patrick.
Good morning.
Lovely to see you again. You're becoming a regular on this programme this week. Do you agree with what Dr. Scotty said?
Of course I do. Of course, there is a chance it'll hit us. The chances are very, very slight. But we've got to remember, this is a small thing, about a mile across, and therefore its orbit is not yet worked out with absolute accuracy, and is subject to a gravitational pull of larger objects, so we can't be at all precise. My guess is it'll miss the Earth by a wide margin.
Yeah, by about 600,000 miles,
something
like
like that, I would
NASA is saying.
So if it is on a collision course, then we could do something about it. There's no point in trying to break it up with a nuclear explosion. If so, of course, fragment will make it worse. You might be able to deflect it. And of course, there have been ideas about this for some time back now.
Yes, which they were saying yesterday when this thing was definitely going to happen, only a couple of hours later and it's not going to happen. Yeah. But they were saying that they would have to intercept the thing if it is on its way to Earth.
The answer is deflect it. Don't try and break it out, try and deflect it. And that could probably be done. But I see, we've got to find out first that it'll make a couple of fairly, well, reasonably close approaches in 2000 and 2002. And by then we'll know just what the orbit is and what the dangers are. I'm not saying there's no danger, of course there is, but these things are whizzing around, and these plenty of near-Earth asteroids are about now, we know that.
I was going to say, Patrick, if this one doesn't get us, one will eventually, will it?
It may well be so, and of course there's a theory, only a theory, that dinosaurs were wiped out by an impact of that kind, but it's not definite.
Oh, we like that theory. Keep it going, we like that one.
It's a possibility anyway. But the chances are, after all, the Earth is a small target in a very large area of space. And the chances of a major, devastating collision are very slight, but they're not nil, I agree.
But even at 600,000 miles, I mean, we asked Dr. Scotty this, could it have any effect whatsoever? No.
Unless it actually hits us, it'll have no effect at all. I see the gravitational pull of this thing is negligible, and therefore, unless an actual collision, it'll pass by and there'll be no damage.
Right. Patrick, just to change the subject now, although not quite, we had a call from a lady called Louise Francis from Chalfont St Giles this morning. Morning to you, Louise. She says she's convinced she's got an asteroid in her kitchen. And she said her grandmother gave it to her, and she told her that it was found on Salisbury Plain. It's the size of a big apple, it's very heavy, and one side of it is completely black. What's your theory?
Almost certainly a mineral. Was this found in a chalky area? That's where you get these things.
Salisbury Plain.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. This, I'm afraid, will not be a meteorite. This will be a mineral.
Now, what's the difference between a meteorite and an asteroid?
Really none. If we think meteorites come from the asteroid belt, and well, there's no difference at all really. When it lands here, it's called a meteorite. But there's all the difference in the world between a meteor and a meteorite. A meteor, a shooting star, is a tiny particle, a piece of cometary debris, burning out in the Earth's upper air, smaller than a pin's head and burning out. So meteors are not connected with meteorites, or they are connected with comets.
Great. Okay, well, Patrick Moore, I still keep wanting to call you Sir. We talked about this the other morning.
I think we'll start a campaign. You should be Sir Patrick Moore.
Okay, Patrick, thanks very much for joining us this morning. And to your friend, Dr. Jim Scotty in Arizona. You'll remain friends because you've agreed on everything this morning, Dr. Scotty. Yeah. Thanks very much for joining us, and have a good night's sleep. I know it's late where you are.
I've got one message for people about the asteroid. The question is, don't panic.
Don't panic.
But I'll just make a note in my diary. What time? At 5:30 in the evening? So we'll do lunch that day, shall we?
Look, I will then be 105.
Yeah, so you don't really need to worry about it, or maybe you do. I don't know. But whatever, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Patrick.
OK, now in the next half hour of the programme, this is what we've got for you.
We've got car tax dodgers. They're about to pay the ultimate...
Ray Stewart reports.
Till now, the chance of an asteroid wiping out life as we know it has been the stuff of science fiction. But XF11 has changed all that. Scientists have just confirmed it could pose a threat to our civilization.
It's about a mile across, as you mentioned before, and we discovered it back in December, early December. But it's taken about 3 months to learn enough about its orbit to be able to say that it will make a close approach.
It's certain the asteroid will come close, possibly within 500,000 miles. But predictions that it'll come even closer, perhaps even hitting the Earth, are played down by American space program bosses.
It looks like it's going to miss the Earth by 600,000 miles. Now, an asteroid this size, a mile in diameter, only hits the Earth once every few 100,000 years. So it's not surprising that this one is going to miss the Earth. Most of them do.
But some don't. Craters in the Earth's crust are believed to be the result of prehistoric collisions. 65 million years ago, a huge asteroid is thought to have wiped out the dinosaurs. Astronomers will now use computer predictions to track the orbit of this asteroid over the coming months. Ray Stewart, GMTV News.